Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are talking about Scandoval on the Howie Mandel podcast. Didn't even know he had a podcast, but we're diving in. So today Scandoval was a guest on Howie's podcast, and I saw it yesterday on the internet that he was promoting it. It was recorded the day after Schwartz was on Watch What Happens Live. It was wild, guys. The level of narcissism is just, and I know narcissism or narcissist is such a buzzword this year or whatever as of late, but trust me when I say that I speak from experience. This guy is just, he's delusional. The thing about those kinds of people is that they create a whole reality in their minds. And that reality is the only thing that is true and real to them. And everything else, everyone else's opinions, everyone else's feelings, it doesn't matter. It's whatever is self-serving to them. And this guy is through and through, insane. I feel for Ariana. You know, the way he spoke of her on this podcast was just wow. The level of disrespect. Don't get me wrong, he admits to the blatant cheating aspect of what he did. He says, I'm not excusing it, I'm not condoning it, even Howie says it. But the whole thing about him even appearing on this podcast, Howie has no idea anything about Vanderpump Rules. His daughter is, I'm pretty sure it's his daughter. That is his co-host, and she's the one who follows Vanderpump Rules. So she's aware of everything. Howie is not. So he's a completely third-party outsider to the matter, has no preconceived notions of the whole situation, no history, no backstory of any of this. So he's just seeing it more so from Tom's side, and I think that was his angle this whole time. Apparently, Tom's band manager is something to Howie, and that's how they've met. So that's why Tom Sandoval picked this podcast to appear on, because Howie doesn't have the ability to push back on him. The daughter did. She did ask certain questions, but of course it could have been a lot worse for someone, all of us who are Bravoholics, who have watched Vanderpump Rules from season 1 every minute and can really ask those hard-hitting questions for Sandoval. So it was more so him telling, his version of the story. Basically, he tried to break up with Ariana multiple times. It got to a point that she was in complete denial, that it scared him. At one point he says that she said, if you break up with me, you're basically ending my life. So that she's threatening the S word and self-harm. I just don't see that from Ariana. Yes, she herself has talked about her mental health issues and how she's battled depression, anxiety, etc., etc. But I don't think that she would take that stance with Sandoval. Don't get me wrong, only 2 people know what really happened in a relationship, right? So where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure they had problems for a long time going into this. He speaks about this, that, they were no longer intimate. And because of the lack of intimacy, his confidence really took a hit. And he just didn't really think that highly of himself anymore. And that all was leading to some resentment on his part for Ariana not reciprocating those feelings the way he felt that she should have. So basically, he had turned 40 and he just started questioning his life and really feeling a lack of whatever. Basically, he had a midlife crisis and he looked around and he wasn't happy with the way his life was. So he was just yearning for some sort of connection, something to feel alive again. And in walks Rachel. What's crazy to me is in last week's episode, Schwartz keeps referring to Rachel as the forbidden fruit. She was the forbidden fruit, not just for Schwartz, but for Sandoval as well. This girl, and she was thriving off of it. She was living for it. And you can see that in the episodes. You could see that in her interview bites. It's just crazy to me that she was getting off on that. And yeah, Schwartz talked about how he felt like Rachel was Sandoval's heroine, that he was very much addicted to her at a certain point. And Sandoval agrees. He's like, yeah, like I became obsessed with trying to meet up with her, with trying to spend time with her and kind of like sneak around. It was just crazy. He basically said that he had already tried to break up with Ariana multiple times. At the point that she went through his phone, he had already broken up with her officially 2 weeks before that he tried to break up with her like in therapy. They went to couples therapy. He tried to call things off, and she was in denial and she was fighting it. And even, 2 weeks prior, he's like, let's take it easy. We'll figure things out. Like they're waiting for some sort of deal. And he was like, let's wait for that to come through. And, we don't have to make any kind of announcement. Like we'll figure it out. We'll have each other's backs and we'll get through this. And so at the point that she goes through his phone, they were already broken up. It's weird because he's like, oh, I don't excuse what I did. I don't condone it. But also he's like, but I was already broken up, and like she just wasn't accepting it, and I had already accepted. I was unhappy, and I had brought it up to her several times, and like just like taking accountability, but not really, because just spinning it into like me being the victim. And it was crazy to hear it. It was frustrating. It was like, and then Howie was kind of like kissing his ass throughout the interview, and he was like, I really commend you for coming on here and speaking your truth and being open about, your experience and blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand why this has just been blown up into like such a huge deal. And at one point Sandoval was like, yeah, like, CNN is covering it. Like I watch CNN. I don't want this shit on CNN. Which is crazy because you can see right through him. It's like, no, you loved the fact that you're on CNN. I'm sure this has just fed into that like ego of yours that you are now being talked about on CNN. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, you're so delusional. I mean, I can only imagine. If I were Ariana, I probably wouldn't have watched it. Like, and as a matter of fact, I probably would have told my friends, don't even tell me about it. I don't want to watch anything about it. I don't want to know, because it's not okay. Lala was on the plane, I guess, to go to New York. I wonder if she's going to be doing Watch What Happens Live. She's just like, I can't. I want to go in on him right now, and I can't because there's people around me. That's really the only reaction that I've seen so far. But it was just not cool. For the people who have experienced narcissism themselves, this was just like a total, like that is exactly what's happening here. Like I don't think he helped himself in any way. Like, for the people who are real Vanderpump Rules fans who know what led up to this, it's like, no, you're not saving yourself at all. As a matter of fact, you just made yourself look worse. Like, I'm sorry. Apparently that first night, right after guys' night, that they talked, all through the night up until the sun came out. And then the next, 2 nights later, they were in his backyard, and he was for some reason locked out of his house, and they just connected on such a crazy level, and then they kissed, and he hadn't felt that connection or that feeling in a long, long time. It just this is his MO. He did this to Kristen. He cheated on her with Ariana, said the same thing, I had never felt this before. I haven't felt this in a long time. And then he painted Kristen to be crazy, and Kristen played into it. But he did that with her too, and now he's doing it with Ariana. So he has a pattern here, and he's just gonna do it to Raquel too. Who knows what's gonna happen with him? He says that they're not putting labels on it, and they're taking a break, and they're gonna figure it out. But I'm sure he wants to finish pursuing this with her. It's sick because he's gonna do it to her too. So she'll figure it out. It'll happen to her, and she'll have to move on like everyone else. I just had to quickly recap this. It was something else to watch it. This guy's not gonna get it. They never get it. Don't think that they'll get it, because they won't. So thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope I can catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone. Can pull me from the dark.